Hi everybody, this is Brent from Team Japan at LC1 in the USA-Japan rice trade negotiation, and this is my follow presentation for it after the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you my PowerPoint presentation, and I'll go ahead and get started. So this is the PowerPoint that's going to cover the following areas: the pre-negotiation strategy, what went well during the negotiation, how we improve, personal insights, and feedback. So this, once again, this is the Global Business Negotiation final presentation between Japan and USA for the rice trade, and I was on LC1 Team Japan. So go ahead and get started. Pre-negotiation, what was the strategy for Japan? Well, what we really wanted to do was we wanted to reach a deal with the USA for rice trade. Japan wanted to make this deal happen. What Japan wanted was fewer pesticides in USA rice that is imported to Japan, because testing had shown that even though fewer were used during the cultivation, pesticides were still present after they were added post-harvest. Japan wanted to have tariffs imposed and remain in place with a 5-year plan, and Japan wanted to retain and remain in control of rice distribution. Additionally, Japan establishes rice exports to the USA, and the rice is featured as a high-quality rice. So what went well in the talk was, I think Team Japan was able to establish a clear, unified vision for all members of the negotiation team. We had a mentality where we wanted to make a deal that benefited everybody. So I think we were able to accomplish that, given all the stakeholders that took part in the talks. I think we adapted quickly to USA wants when they communicated those to us, and we developed counteroffer proposals. We clearly identified the rationale for desired outcomes, such as the reason we wanted less pesticides was that was a big important factor for the Japanese rice consuming population. Additionally, we explained that we wanted to export rice to the United States due to a declining rice consumption or trend in Japan over the last few years. Additionally, we had a strength of adherence to pre-negotiation strategy. While we may have made concessions on some of the items we brought up, we still were able to strike a deal, which it was good to get a deal that incorporated all the things that we wanted. And lastly, we established concessions quickly with acceptable terms, which kind of went to the last point too, but we were able to maintain we always set out to go for. Although we had to concede, we still made acceptable terms for all parties. How we improve. So one thing that we could work on is slowing down before making decisions, make sure everyone understands what the other team had said and that all of our wants are brought up prior to making decisions. I think another thing that would have helped us a lot was to be more vague, not vague, but be more general, and instead of laying out specific exact terms for proposals or maybe counter proposals, is to say, okay, well, that's too low. We need to go higher than that. And then that would help us see how high the opposing team is willing to go before we come up with our next plan. I think we may have wanted to play our position more aggressively, even though it may not have been the best move. I think it might have been a benefit, as I think that in this situation, the USA negotiation, they had more to gain in the trade than I think Japan may have. So they could have used that leverage to their advantage there. And also understanding the USA negotiation strategy would help improve our ability to make a good deal for Japan. Also, we could have established walkaway criteria before the meeting. Like, hey, if this isn't going to be met, what is our last bottom line limit that we're going to drop to? And if we get there and we're not able to get back to where we want to be, it's just not going to work. So sometimes you must be willing to walk away from the table. Some personal insights that I saw was to be prepared for the unexpected. Although we did our best to try and think of all the things that the other team would bring at, we weren't really exactly sure what exactly they were going to say. So maybe have a little bit of planning and be flexible. International trade has many stakeholders, and complications can arise between two dissimilar cultures. So once again, have a good understanding of the opposing culture. And it's best to have prepared backup for facts or claims. I think that having supporting data and being able to share that with the group would have been a good thing for Japan and the USA to both do when we wanted to make points. And you need to have extensive research and contingency planning in case things don't go as you initially want. Some feedback. So strengths. I think that our teams were assertive. They had identified the desires and held onto concessions until they were needed. For the USA, this is you guys had a really good pace of speaking. The personal introductions were excellent, and the concise data presented made it easier for us to make a deal, although the numbers it's a quick time to run the numbers, but or at least figure out what whether going 2% or 5% or whatever number we wanted. And also the USA established a willingness to deal, and we were able to make a deal in the end. Weaknesses, I thought it might have been too strong on their demands for certain deals, such as tariffs and duty-free rice trade. So they're kind of back-to-back on that, and kind of that goes back to if you're having like a walk-away condition, and it's like, we're not going to trade with you unless we're duty-free. Well, then we may not be able to make a deal. And lastly, this isn't for just the USA, this is Japan too. We didn't have supporting data shown and linked up and during the time of the talks. So it might have been better if both of us had presented some sort of data or shared a screen or something like that. All right, that's all I have to say for you guys. Hopefully you have stuff for me to learn too, and I'll look forward to reading and seeing your post. Thanks. Here's a page of references for the two references I mentioned previously on slides. Okay, thanks.